So I'm going to talk about how I vote a little bit. I voted early in 2018 for the 2018 midterms. This month of October 2018, of course, was full of tweets about the midterms and about all sorts of campaigns and so on and so forth. Now, I think that Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump and several other Ted Cruz and AOC, several other politicians have shown that they would like to be part of the anti-obstructionist party, the bipartisan party, where Democrats and Republicans come together and get things done. Which, as a citizen, watching the process, I greatly appreciate. I'm glad that both sides are talking and they're looking for solutions. So with that in mind, I won't tell you exactly who I voted for in 2018, but I'll say that I voted early. And my selections included Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, and Rainbow/Green parties. So when I was voting, I actually selected, and this was my choice after looking at their campaign websites, reading about their stances on the issues, reading about how they handle, what jobs they had. I looked at everything, and I ended up, naturally, organically picking pretty much one person from every major party in this country that were available on the ticket. So I judged candidates based on their positions, experience, and their ability to get things done without obstructing the legislative process for no reason beyond party loyalty. So we are seeing a bit of our politicians in America coming together. Ted Cruz and AOC agreeing, and other people as well. We've also seen Rand Paul kind of reach across the aisle a little bit. It can be very hard because in Washington it's all about who you know and, which favors are owed to who. But I think that there are certain elements on both sides of the aisle that we can definitely agree. I mean, we can certainly agree on securing the border. This is something that Democrats and Republicans have been behind in the past, and they're behind now. But sometimes party politics can get in the way. And if it's a goal that, the Republicans don't want the Democrats to accomplish, or the Democrats don't want the Republicans to accomplish, even if it's mutually beneficial, they will fight not to get this thing done that'll make all of our lives better. So it's a very slow process of checks and balances. I believe what AOC and Ted Cruz agreed on was something to do with privacy and antitrust, but again, I actually didn't do my research on that before doing this tweet video, so definitely do your research and check out how AOC and Ted Cruz came together. And it's very important because you have a presidential candidate from 2016 in Ted Cruz, and you have a likely presidential candidate in AOC for 2024. Somebody that's an up-and-comer, and two very big names in the two major parties. And they're coming together. And of course, Andrew Yang shared with us some science. Many know this, but Andrew Yang said that a lot of your politics, almost 50%, are genetic. And so he suggested that we build bridges. Sound familiar? Yeah. Andrew Yang is a both sidesist. He believes you should listen to the left and the right, and that both are operating in a sort of irrational space because all human beings are irrational. We strive for rationality. We reach out for it. But Yang says, it's not It's a matter of nature and nurture, but a lot of that is nature. We're just wired a certain way to think more, I guess you could say, with a progressive or liberal, as amorphous as that term can be, just like nationalist. But there are people that think more progressively from birth, based on their genetics, and there are people that think more conservatively from birth. And of course, that can change just as with other genetic situations. You know, in terms of, you know, you can certainly be born with a predisposition for, you know, progressivism or conservatism, and then change your loyalty over time and become more independent, or become more, you know, left or right, or anywhere in the political sphere or on the political globe. But, you know, I really focused on voting for people that wouldn't obstruct each other, because I want to see things get done. I want to see the actual progress promised when you say progressive. Progressive. It's a brand. It's a brand, really. Just like reactionary. Conservatives are reactionary. I mean, I always found that confusing. I'm like, reacting to what? The future? Traditionalists? I'm not sure. Like, there's so many different ways you could use that term, reactionary. It makes you sound a little bit off-kilter, sort of operating not with a full deck. You're reactionary. You're not ready. You react. And just like progressive can be sometimes regressive in the policies at play, you know, a reactionary can be somebody very stable. And there's so many different ways. So it's very hard. Like I said at the beginning of the video, people use labels to dissuade you and I from thinking a certain way, doing a certain thing, so on and so forth. It's for control. It's for boxing you in, setting your path, limiting your free will, limiting your liberty to a very small area, a small echo chamber of acceptable behavior, speech, a very small Overton window. And we should expand that. We should be able to talk about things that, you know, even if you have when you have a smaller Overton window of acceptable dialogue, that gets smaller and smaller. The corporations and the politicians, the institutions, media, state, academia, these are part of the modern religion that is institutions. And they limit the conversation. I think Noam Chomsky has talked about this. They limit the conversation. And anything outside those two walls is considered extreme. Extreme, they say. And so you're an extremist if you don't stick to the very, very narrowly defined acceptable content, acceptable dialogue. And of course, I am a pro-information person. I believe in free speech, and I believe in an Internet Bill of Rights, so that we aren't having our privacy and our free speech in any way molested by corporations or by malevolent people, may they be in an institutional format or just flying solo. We should not let our negative liberty or our positive liberty be impacted by our ideology. And of course, it might be a little more questionable when you're in the public square and you're making credible threats and you're inciting violence and you're causing direct harm. Of course, that will harm your brand, that will harm your credibility. And yeah, your ideology, if it's totally extreme and out there, truly hateful and otherist, well, yeah, let the free market of ideas and of people be the judge. And good luck with that.